Hi Rachel. Today is, what is today? Today is Friday. God, it doesn't feel like a Friday. This week has been the longest week ever. And this video is going to come in 3 parts. Part 1. Your topic of weird books and friends and whatever. My friends are weird like in the sort of like personal way, like they like jump around and like talk about how their brothers do weed and stuff like that. Your friends are like sort of the same way, except yours are like fandom friends from what I've heard. I don't know, you don't really talk about your friends much. I probably talk about my friends a lot more than you do, actually, probably. Are you tired of hearing about my friends yet? Wow, I'm gonna be really self-conscious about that now. Part 2. Books. Yeah, you really do have to, like, connect with a character in order to love it. Like, there are those books that you have to read for, like, school. And not that school books are bad, even though most of the time they are. But, like, school books, they just kind of, like, I don't know, they're boring. Like, their characters don't really, like, you don't get into them. And when you do, that's when you love reading the book. Like, I'm reading for my English class last semester, we had to read Huck Finn, and it was good. Like, I loved Huck Finn, and I loved Jim, and I loved everyone in that entire story. I loved Tom, and I loved Jim, and I loved Huck, and I was like engrossed. Like, I read the whole book in like 3 days. It was fantastic. And then there are books like, I don't even remember half of the books that we read in English, where you're like, you just want to get through with it, you want to do your homework, and you want to get it done, and you just want to do it, and you don't really get into the characters as much, and that's why a lot of the books that we like is because of the characters. And it's just something that you really, like, need to, like, it's like a, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like human nature to get connected to something like that. Like, you don't really have a choice. If you connect, you connect. If you don't, you don't. That's just how it works. I think you would be a great Hazel Grace, because that means I would be Augustus, and let's just face it, I would make a hot Augustus, just saying. Even though I'd end up dying at the end, I would be super fine. And I think we need to add Hazel Grace and Augustus to our growing list of Halloween ideas that we have made over the past few months. Number 1, Marius and Cosette. Number 2, Feely and Keely. Number 3, Androris and Grantier. It just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, and it's never going to stop growing, and we're never going to have enough Halloweens, and we're going to be 30 and we're going to be like, yeah, Halloween, let's go trick-or-treat with some 5-year-olds. Woo! And everyone's going to think we're weird because we'll be 30 and we'll just be like trick-or-treating. And it'll be like, oh, let's just give all this candy to these 30-year-olds. And we'll be like, fuck yeah, you better give us some of that candy. Part 3. Actually, Les Mis isn't actually that heavy. Mine's ripping because my cat spilled water on it. Sad, 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 and it's all wrinkled. But it's really not heavy. It's probably like 1.5 pounds. And if you think this is a heavy book, you need to start doing some arm curls or some push-ups or something, because your concept of heavy is severely skewed. Oh, so today, back to the topic of books. Today was my first check-in for Sherlock Holmes in Britlit, and Dr. Valicelli was like, "Are you finding it funny?" And I was like, yeah, it's so funny. I love how sarcastic and sassy Sherlock is. Where the lady, that part, Dr. Valicelli goes, I love that part in the one book where John's deducing what the lady's wearing, and he racks off all this information, and it's more than I would ever pick up because I don't observe. And I go, oh yeah, that part was so funny. And he goes, I love how Sherlock was like, oh, you know, you deuced everything, but you missed almost everything of importance. and I was like dying, and we're supposed to be doing homework, and we're just checking in books, and we're just like laughing, and they're probably thinking like, what are these two talking about? There's literally nothing funny about any of these books, because they're reading like Pride and Prejudice and Jane Eyre and Tess de Ubervilles, and they're like, we hate these books, and I'm like, I love these books. And Dr. Valicelli's like, woo, I love these books too. And I touched his hair at lunch today because he gels it, and it felt like ramen noodles. So, yes, today is Friday, and I guess get back to me on the Friends issue. I guess we can do that. We can do that sometime as soon as I'm with all of my friends, because I'm not, because I live like forever away from them. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow.